They can just pull up your plate and see the entire map of your life. Now they'll tell you that they're only using it to solve crimes. But the person running your plate isn't always chasing a car thief. Sometimes they're abusing that citywide mass surveillance system for illegal and illicit purposes, to hunt down ex-girlfriends and ex-husbands. And there is actually a website right now where you can go to check if your own plate is already sitting in one of these logs. Now I'll show you where you can find that information and even how you can help contribute to help stop this insane government overreach.
We are using the tool to try to solve felonies and gross misdemeanors, and a heavy focus on assaults.
How, bro? How are you solving crime, i.e. assaults, by just random vehicles driving by the neighborhood? Don't you realize that that's like a needle in a haystack? The chances of you finding someone that's committing a crime when there's so many vehicles that's passing by is extremely low. I want to talk to you about something that's happening around the country. It's something that is very serious, based on what I'm hearing and seeing online. It seems as though we are being spied on and we're being watched. We're being treated as potential criminals by our justice system. And it is crazy, especially when it comes to law enforcement. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about social power dynamics, how we're being controlled and influenced by what we're seeing, and also being watched as well. Now, I'm going to be reacting to a video called Flock Cameras 1. It's officially over by Loyal Moses.
In every city and every state in this country, there's a camera just like that in your neighborhood on your city streets. And it's recording everywhere you go when you leave your home. It's recording you when you take your children to school, when you go to work, when you go to the doctor's office. It's even recording your plates when you're going to the places that you don't want other people to know about. Every single trip timestamped and stored in a searchable database. A database of suspects. A database that they are actively using to find criminals. Now, you aren't a criminal, but you are now in a database and you're being treated like a criminal. Any cop in the country can search that database. They don't need a warrant and they don't need a judge.
Oh yeah, man, look at that cop just driving by. The cop is did not ask to be a part of this documentary, huh? He's like, uh, he's like, if that cop really realized that he was a part of the video, he'd be like, "What did I do? I'm just a police officer." I just wanted to highlight that little funny moment.
They can just pull up your plate and see the entire map of your life. Now they'll tell you that they're only using it to solve crimes. But the person running your plate isn't always chasing a car thief. Sometimes they're abusing that citywide mass surveillance system for illegal and illicit purposes, to hunt down ex-girlfriends and ex-husbands. And there is actually a website right now where you can go to check if your own plate is already sitting in one of these logs. Now I'll show you where you can find that information and even how you can help contribute to help stop this insane government overreach.
We are using the tool to try to solve felonies and gross misdemeanors, and a heavy focus on assaults.
How, bro? How are you solving crime, i.e. assaults, by just random vehicles driving by the neighborhood? Don't you realize that that's like a needle in a haystack? The chances of you finding someone that's committing a crime when there's so many vehicles that's passing by is extremely low. See, that's the problem sometimes with um, when these government agencies do these decisions that were not voted by the citizen, that they make these decisions that the citizens did not approve, especially when it comes to, the money component of things. I mean, I believe I heard that some of these were trial runs with these companies, and based on the trial run, they could then, make the payments. How are you solving crimes by having something that is constantly watching everyone's vehicle, everyone's movement, and just collecting data on them. Isn't that the biggest issue that a lot of these major companies have gotten into and gotten in trouble with, like social media companies and telephone companies and like, come on, bro. How does that fix the issue? It doesn't make any sense.
Murders on
Well, the truth is, we don't believe you, because when flock cameras first came to Washington State and to the Valley, they were for felony crimes only. And since then, you've lowered it to gross misdemeanors. So we have to assume what's coming next. You surveil us by telling us that we have no reasonable expectation of privacy when we're in public. But now you've made it illegal for us to request the data from you by telling us
It says here, automated license plate reader data is not subject to disclosure under the Public Records Act. Wow. Is that like a whole new law that they added in there just to control people? Man, the power dynamic flow within this video, within this information is crazy. Man, I can't wait to break it down. Let's continue.
that information, the license plates, everything from that flock camera is private now. Now, flock cameras like this one, well, not like this one exactly. This is a 3D printed one, but this is what they look like if you're on the road and you're looking for them. Okay, I think you get it. You understand exactly how serious this is. But what is a flock camera? And others like it? Well, they're basically a network of cameras that are taking still shots of your license plate, the make and model of your car, location information, any identifiable information that might make a fingerprint of your car, like dents, dings, roof racks, anything like that. And they're putting that into a database. Most of them are solar powered and they upload immediately to the cloud over cellular. So within moments, seconds of tagging your vehicle, it's in a database that is instantly searchable by private organizations or law enforcement around the world. You find them commonly in cities, municipalities, things like that. But also, don't forget, Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart.
What? Oh man, this is taking over. Like, there's no privacy, bro. There's no privacy anywhere, man. Okay, so let me start with my analysis. So, based on what I'm seeing right here, this is a great example of social power dynamics. And the reason why I say this is because you're dealing with not just society, how society feels about being surveillanced and watched, but you're also dealing with the effects of law enforcement and different business groups that have a different interest than the customers, the consumers, and the public. Think about it. It's one of those situations where you're, and then you're dealing with a company that's supplying these cameras. You see, it's one of those situations where fear in society of crime and the desire to control people's um, behavior and outcome has merged together to create a toxic mix where even the people that were supposed to be protected are now being put in a line of fire. It's the it's the principles of capitalism going against the principles of freedom. When you have a situation where people don't have a choice, where people can't determine if they want to be watched, right? If they want to be surveyed, they didn't they didn't choose to be surveyed. They didn't choose anything. You're creating a situation where you're being a little sneaky about it, and by being sneaky about it, it causes a bit of a problem because you know that you're not doing something that is right by the Constitution of the United States, and you're not doing what is right by the public. So if the public knew about this ahead of time, there's a chance that they would actually be against it. So you go ahead and create a situation where you put it in there anyway, and then hopefully when they find out about it, they're okay with it, and then you lock it away by putting together legislations that makes it more difficult for just anybody to get information, but not difficult enough where anyone who really is looking for it will find it. It's just it's like a another method of wanting to control how people move, wanting to control how people behave, but doing it in such a sneaky way where it kind of it's almost like we don't want to violate your rights, but we got to because there's criminals out there. You know, it's a very dangerous type of thing, and I think that this thing needs to stop.
They can have them as well. This is a private company, and it allows anyone to have a contract and anyone to search. Car that passes, no crime required, no suspicion needed. They are in over 5,000 plus communities across the United States, and the network is capturing more than 20 billion license plate reads a month. 20 billion. Now, one login and one search, up to 97,000 cameras and 6,800 networks, all at once. A police chief in Norfolk, Virginia, actually bragged about building a curtain of technology so that you can't drive any real distance.
That is that's some dumb statement, Brody. My guy, listen. I know in your mind you feel as though you are controlling all these things, but what you're not understanding is you yourself, you have family members as well. You have other individuals within your line of circle as a police officer who are the information are being targeted as well and being collected. There's a high chance that this is going to lead to something else. This is going to go downhill. They're going to have more and more invasion of privacy being created by something like this. All it is for a business owner to see, okay, this company is getting away with doing this. Why don't we test the line and put forth another thing into the public or into law enforcement that violates people's rights? And it just isn't it's a downhill decline. Because think about it, today it's the flaw cameras, tomorrow is something else that's spying on people. Before no, we're tracking people. It's getting completely crazy. And this guy is over here bragging about, oh, we need a curtain of technology. My guy, you're gonna be victim to it. If not you, your family as well, because you have kids, you have wives, you have cousins, you have nephews, nieces and nephews, you have other extended family who are not in law enforcement. Don't you understand that their privacy are being collected by a company that's going to hold on to it for a while? We're talking about all the private locations, movements, all those things. It's only going to get worse. Man, this needs to change. This is crazy.
Without hitting one. Now, down here in the valley, the police won't publicly list out where they're placing these flock cameras. And the reason they gave us was that they didn't want people to change their driving habits. Well, of course we would. Nobody wants to be recorded like this. The pitch is always the same. This catches car thieves. This finds missing children.
Yeah, that's not true. It doesn't do that.
But nobody pitches you on what happens when the login belongs to somebody who isn't really looking for either of those things. The entire system is sold on the premise that the people holding the login credentials to this mass.
Yeah, that's a no for that one. You know, no, like law enforcement cannot be trusted when it comes to public safety or when it comes to privacy.
Surveillance network won't abuse them. Tell that to the people in Milwaukee when an officer used his access to track a woman he was dating and her ex more than 170 times over 2 months. Now, he resigned hours conveniently just before his court date. The department needed someone to then.
We gotta give a big L to that guy because that is not a good thing at all, bro. All the information that he freely collected, things that would have been private. It's just so disappointing that we're living in a time where people just don't have the privacy that they normally would have as in the past. Everything is being spied on. We're all being watched. We're all being spied on. It is crazy. Man, this definitely has to stop.
Look into it. So they chose a detective, 22 years on the force. That detective ran the audit. Unbelievably, buried in the audit was his own name. He had
Wow.
tracked a completely different woman's
Wow.
plate 17 times, logging the reason as test and training. This detective even planted a physical GPS tracker under her car, which she ended up finding later. The detective they sent to catch the abuse was actually committing crimes himself. In
Wow.
Idaho, a sheriff ran his own wife's plate over 700 times in 3 months. Every search, again, logged as test. And then conveniently, he retired clean.
Wow.
In Kansas, a police chief tracked his ex-girlfriend and her new boyfriend over 200 times before he, conveniently, stepped down. And again,
I just the group dynamics that I'm noticing within the police department is crazy, bro. These guys are basically doing illegal things and then stepping down after they do the legal things. It's almost as though they don't want to face the consequences of their action. And these the same people that tell us if you do the crime, you gotta do the time. Why are they not facing the consequences? Why are they running? Why do illegal stuff with these information and then run? That don't make sense to me. It's like the same people that are trying to enforce the law are not willing to be subject to the law. See, this is the same type of problem that I've noticed with police for a long period of time. I've seen police breaking the laws when it comes to speeding, uh, with non-emergency lights on, when it comes to running red lights with non-emergency lights on, when it comes to, smoking, doing drugs in that police cruiser. Like it's crazy how the same people that enforce our laws are too cowardice to face up to the law whenever they break it. I'm just saying.
in Georgia, just this last month, 5 officers in one department were fired and then arrested, and one of them is facing 11 separate counts. The Institute for Justice has counted at least 21 of these cases since 2024. And of course, this will just be what's reported. The rest of it, I promise you, is
Wow.
covered up. And stick around, because I'm going to show you how states are preparing to hide this information from you instead of fixing the problem. Now, you would think that this is just a simple discipline problem. You fire the bad ones and you move on. But this goes past individual officers with bad intentions. This is about the system itself being weaponized. Now, in my home state, instead of protecting you and I from law enforcement abuse, they went the opposite direction. They built a new system to hide the corruption.
Wow.
Washington just passed the Driver Privacy Act this March. Now, on paper, it sounds like a win with shorter data retention and locking out some of the federal agencies. But read past that headline. Buried inside the bill is a provision that completely exempts license plate reader data from public records requests. You can no longer FOIA this information to see who got searched or why the officer ran the plate. The exact public audit trail that exposed every single abuse case that I just told you is now legally shielded from you. While they were sealing that door, they walked right through another one. The original draft of the bill only allowed cops to run searches for felonies. By the time it passed, cities had lobbied to water it down to now include gross misdemeanors, creating a much lower bar and a massive expansion of that surveillance net. Lawmakers took away your ability to see who is tracking you while giving police a wider net to track more people.
Oh, man, bro, that is so discouraging right there, man. It doesn't make sense, man. It doesn't make sense. See, this is why people can't trust the government anymore. This is why government always finds a way to overstep its bounds, especially when it comes to uh, properly representing the people. These are elected officials. These are people that we chose to be in charge, to protect us and make laws to take care of us. Instead, they just collude behind our backs and create these laws and give each other bigger reach access to private data, while on the same token making it harder for regular civilians to have access to the same data that they shouldn't even have access to themselves. I would understand if they had another way to find criminals, and that became widely available. But this right here is not finding any criminal. Instead, it's criminalizing the innocent. It's making people look bad, making people seem as though they have bad motives in situations where that's not the case.
They then had the nerve to call it the Driver Privacy Act. That is exactly what it looks like when the agencies running the surveillance get to write the rules on oversight. Now go ahead, do a Google search on any recent legislation for your country and your state, and let me know in the comments how they're handling it. So, what about security on these things? Must be pretty bulletproof, right? Well, it gets worse, because at least 35 of these law enforcement accounts have already had their passwords stolen by hackers. The company doesn't even require two-factor login as of this video. The bare minimum security that even your bank makes you have isn't even required to access a database of every place that every person has been. Okay, fine. There's a whole bunch of you that will say that you're okay with all of this because at least it's catching real criminals. But is it? Oak Park, Illinois runs one of the only public audits of its own system in the entire country. Their own oversight board came to a brutal conclusion that there is no evidence that these cameras have meaningfully solved a single local crime since 2022. And about a third of the stops that these cameras trigger end with the driver being released on the spot because of a wrong plate and it being the wrong car. In Arkansas, a couple was pulled over at gunpoint, cuffed on the pavement while their 6-week-old child was...
I knew it. It was a black couple. Oh, it's always a black couple, man. It's always a black couple, unfortunately.
left alone in the car seat. The reason? A camera misread their plate. The officer's own words afterward, hey, I'm not going to say that the technology is completely perfect because, you know, that's just it. It's modern technology. That was the apology. Blame it on technology?
That was no apology, my guy. That was no apology. That was not, I don't care how you feel. I don't care what you think. I'm just trying to do something that I know I could get away with, and I don't care your feelings or opinions or your point of view. This kind of remind me of this one time when I was younger, and I was waiting at, I think this store. I think it's a T-Mobile store, and I was waiting out there after I had, because I was doing Uber at the time, and I stopped right there, and I was just kind of waiting, taking a little rest, because I just did like a 45-minute drive. And so out of the blue, this random cop shows up, and he comes up to my vehicle and started asking me questions. And I was like, man, like, why are you asking me all these questions? And then I thought he was a security guard at first, only to find out he really was a police officer. Because at first I was going to be like, are you a security guard? But then I noticed that he said police on his vest. So he's asking me all these questions. Why are you here? And I'm like, I don't, I'm just here, I guess. He said, well, they called the police on you because they thought you were up to no good. I'm like, yeah, it must be because I'm black, isn't it? Oh, it's not a race thing. Or, oh, no, you're making it about race. Bro, that's the thing right there. You have to understand when you jump to conclusion about people, when you come up with a negative narrative about people in your mind, and then you execute that negative narrative on them to where they have to prove innocence to you, it's not a good way to approach things. And this is a perfect example. It's a black couple minding their business, and all of a sudden they're being harassed by police. I mean, look at this, man.
Perfect, because you know that's just it. The child was left alone in the car seat. The reason? A camera misread their plate. The officer's own words afterward.
See, look at the guy's hand right there, man. But anyway, let me not make this about race too much. But the point I'm trying to say is, man, I definitely don't like the systemic abuse of power, especially by law enforcement. I think it's ridiculous.
Hey, I'm not going to track people yourself, but police departments are required by law to keep logs of every search that they run. Now, when citizens file FOIA requests for those audit logs, they have been handing it over to the Independent Privacy Advocate website. You type in your own plate and it will show you whether your car has been pulled up in any one of these searches. It shows you who searched for it, when they searched it, and what the reason is that they gave. This is public data that already exists about you, and until this tool was built, most people had no way to even know how to ask for it. Now, as I mentioned earlier, states like mine are taking this to the extreme and just making FOIA requests illegal. Now, they're going to tell you that the information is public and that you have no right to privacy. But when you ask for the information now that they have on you, they're going to tell you that's private and you don't have a right to that data. Now, because one of the ways to fight back is filing FOIA requests and getting that public information on you, Flock and law enforcement agencies are colluding. They're now working together so that when you requested information, you're now basically getting obfuscated junk. You're getting scrambled results, things that make everything that you receive unidentifiable, making the data ultimately useless. This isn't good. Now, if you're interested in contributing to the website, follow the instructions that they have on how you can file a FOIA request with your local police and sheriff's department to request that flock data. Now, if you aren't sure if you have flock cameras in your town, and I'm pretty sure you do, you can go over to maps.dflock.org, and I'll throw that up on the screen right now. And it's a very simple interface that allows you to just take a look at a map, zoom in, and look at the cameras that are available. And they look like this. Well, kind of like this. A couple of different shapes. But if you see something like this with a solar panel above it, that's a flock camera. Now, because our town doesn't list out where you can find these cameras, all it took for us was to just do a little drive around the valley, and we were shocked at how many there are. There's this one here, and just a quarter of a mile down the road, there's one on the opposite side. Now, I'll have links in the description where you can search up your town and your city, and you can find cameras and also report cameras that you find. I think you're going to be shocked at how many there are. This isn't all bad news. There is some positives here. Dozens of municipalities across the nation are canceling flock contracts for various reasons. Some because of fraud, some because they are protecting the rights of citizens, and others because they're protecting the rights of non-citizens. Whatever the reason, canceling flock contracts is the right thing to do. Now, here are a few of those examples. Denver, Austin, and Eugene, Oregon already canceled their flock contracts. They looked at the reality of mass surveillance and forced the cameras out of their cities. Mountain View, California, it shut off all 30 cameras after finding 250 plus unapproved agencies had run nearly 600,000 searches over 12 months.
600,000 searches? Man, that's a lot.
Months, including the ATF, Air Force, and a GSA Inspector General that had access that nobody signed off on. Santa Cruz, California, they canceled theirs after confirming out-of-state agencies and ICE had accessed local data. Now, Denver, Colorado, they dropped 111 flock cameras for a smaller Axon network after the city auditor refused to countersign the contract over some type of sharing and privacy risk. Dayton, Ohio, covered all 72 cameras in trash bags after an audit found 7,100 plus searches for immigration enforcement explicitly barred under the city's own policy. And there are so many more. In fact, the list is so big, it's got to be its own entire video's worth of content on those cancellations. Every single time one of these cameras goes up, the cell is exactly the same. They tell you it's about protecting you from the bad guys. They tell you it's not about you. Go check your plate. Then go to your city council and ask how many of these cameras are already up and who has the login. Then demand that they take them down.
We had it with this mass surveillance system. That is a flock safety camera. It's an artificial intelligence automated license plate reader. I've reported on Flock before, and if there's one thing people in the comments can agree on, it's their hatred of this. That's because at least 90,000 Flock cameras across 6,000 communities read over 20 billion plates per month. All that information then gets uploaded into a giant shared database, which can be accessed by law enforcement and government agencies. And no surprise, this raises a slew of issues. Like one Ohio man pulled over accused of stolen plates, attacked by police dogs, and jailed because Flock read the 7 on his plates as a 2. Or the Colorado woman accused of stealing a package and treated as guilty until proven innocent because Flock caught her driving 20 times in 1 month. Then there's the Arkansas couple that had a flock camera pointed right at their house, putting them and their guests under constant warrantless surveillance. And not to perpetuate stereotypes, but multiple cops and police chiefs have accessed flock hundreds of times to stalk their exes and current partners. But don't worry, you can stalk people too, because flock cameras are hackable in under 30 seconds. They can be turned into a personal spy device, run on an Android operating system discontinued in 2021, and didn't even have two-factor authentication until it recently came out that they didn't. YouTuber Ben Jordan even found 51 vulnerabilities with Flock and said accessing them is so easy, 12-year-olds could do it. We don't condone the destruction of Flock cameras, but we're also not surprised the public has reached their boiling point. One Virginia man now faces 19 felonies and 6 misdemeanors for destroying 13 cameras over 6 months. In Michigan, police used Flock to catch this guy who caused about 10 grand in damage to cameras. And Oregon vandals / patriots, depending who you ask, cut down 9 Flock cameras, leaving some with colorfully worded stickers. Flock cameras in California, Connecticut, and Illinois have also been destroyed. So, did Americans take notes from Britain's Blade Runners?
Because of how serious the flock camera issue is, there are people who are destroying flock cameras. And I'm not going to hold you. I'm not one to risk my freedom to destroy things. But there are people who don't mind doing that. And you know what? We'll say in terms of them destroying cameras, I personally think it's a good idea to take back control over situations like this. I think it's because people are learning that there's a power control that's flowing within society when it comes to these cameras, that people are willing to risk their freedom to destroy flock cameras. Meet the people destroying flock cameras by Curiosity Corners.
That look like this, or this, or this. These may seem similar to traditional security cameras or radars, but they're much more powerful. The most well-known brand of these new cameras is Flock. And within the last 14 months, the amount of these cameras across the country has doubled to now over 100,000.
And these things literally have the capability to track and store your faces, your whereabouts.
And it's like if you were to build a graph of that sheet, you know, and plot it to a map, now it's as if you've had a GPS on your car.
That is insane, bro. 114,000 also be able to track your face and constant surveillance is crazy.
An entire month.
These cameras track license plates and store digital mappings of people's movements. Police can then search that data for 30 days. They also use AI to make note of various vehicle features like scratches and dents. So now an underworld is forming. Across America, people are destroying and vandalizing Flock cameras. This is an insight into that world.
I wanted to do something that I could put in a video that would bring awareness to these Flock cameras, but I also understood that there might be serious consequences if I did actual serious damage to these cameras. So I was thinking about what I might want to do, and the night before, my friend sent me a video of another town where residents of the town had put trash bags over the cameras. I don't know if they had done it after the city had voted to remove the cameras and they were just covering them up until they were removed, or they were covering them up before there was any vote or anyone had decided to take them away. Anyway, that's how I got the idea. So I went and got some trash bags, and there were dozens of Flock cameras just within a few blocks of where I live. So I took those trash bags and went to a couple and put the bag over, which allowed me to...
Yo, he's very good at climbing that pole, man. My pole climbing skills is not good, so the boy is very good at climbing things.
Communicate a message here. I'm not damaging them. Local police are able to take the trash bags off pretty easily, but here I am covering them, which may or may not render them useless. But if it does render them useless, what is the use that they are being used for? That's the big question, because it's not just Flock cameras. The way I think about this is, let's fast forward 10 years into the future. If we let this go unchecked and we continue down this path, what does that world look like? I mean, you look at just how many cameras have been installed in the past year. You can kind of drag your finger on the deflock map and see the number of cameras across the nation. Feels like it's growing exponentially. So from what we're seeing right now, I can conceive of a world in in 10 years where there's one of these on every single corner, and I can't leave my house without a corporation knowing exactly where I am and where I'm going, and I definitely don't want to live in a world like that. It's tough because it feels like this is where we're headed anyway, right? It feels like Amazon's putting camera glasses on all their drivers, and some companies gonna have drones that are delivering things to our backyard with cameras on them. And
You know what? He's right about that because we got doorbell cameras, we got cameras on our phone, cameras on glasses, clock camera, city cameras. Cameras is everywhere, man. There's too much cameras, too much spy surveillance. We're even being tracked by our phones. Like we are inundated in the world, especially in the West, where we literally have no real privacy. We're being tracked by everybody, everything. We have no privacy. So I see what he's saying. This is only going to get worse because we just don't have control.
our phones that we're carrying already log a map of what we're doing and where we're going and what we're saying. So it feels like we're already there, and I don't know exactly what that solution is going to be, but I know that this is something that we should be talking about as a nation.
But some people are taking things a step further.
When it comes to flock cameras, I just straight up destroy them. I get rid of them. I don't leave them up. I don't leave any chance for them to pull up and just take the trash bag off or uncover them. I take them with me and I'll completely dismantle them and then dispose of the parts individually in different locations so that they have to spend the money, spend the resources to get a new one. Obviously, what I'm doing is not the best way of going about doing it. Instead, get a lawyer, go to city council meetings, bring these up, and tell your city you don't like them, and I guarantee you people will agree with you, and then you can get them removed peacefully and correctly. But
I disagree. I think sometimes you have to take matters into your own hands. City bureaucracy takes time, and then on top of that, it will take days for them to really get it done, and sometimes weeks and even months. So by the time you get the lawyer, get all those things done, that thing would have still been up there recording so much for weeks, and they might even refuse to take it down. So his method, though I don't, though his method is barbaric, I think it's a very effective method because destroying them means that now there's money that has to be spent to get them replaced, and eventually at some point the city might just throw their hands up in the air and be like, yeah, we're not replacing those. Our citizens don't like them anyway, so it's all good. So it's not a terrible thing, in my opinion, my point of view. And also on top of that, because society don't like these cameras, he feels justified in what he's doing. And it makes sense. So, but let's continue.
I want immediate action, so I'm just doing it myself. I also just like breaking things, so I figured this would be the one thing I could get away with breaking, that everyone would be in agreement is cool. Not cool, but like we're cool with it happening.
What are you concerned about?
My biggest thing is not so much the privacy, it's just the fact that they're putting these up to try to prevent future crimes from happening, which is crazy. Once they have this system in place, it's only a matter of times before they start changing what the rules are or what constitutes as a crime. And then they can just pick you up off the street for doing literally whatever. And they've got this whole system in place to find you and track you. I don't like that. I don't like that.
The times where policing and surveillance was at an all-time high was literally during the Holocaust when they were trying to let genocide slide. There was no privacy. If a police officer wanted to enter your home and completely search with no warrant, enter your home, interview everyone in the home with no warrant, as if they're investigating a murder, was when they were committing genocide. That's what it required. So you can imagine if we're getting to a point where we have to watch the entire country from camera. That's just step one. First off, you give them an inch, they take a mile. It's where are we heading from this? Especially when there's already genocides being covered up, across the planet right now without these level of cameras. That's my bigger conspiracy, is that they're trying to plot some next level of evil and they're going to need these cameras for. I would say.
All right, so I'm gonna stop right there. So yes, he's making some valid points. It's a downhill spiral type of situation, and it all comes back to power, man. It's like this, right? the governmental agencies and these big billion-dollar companies want to always have control over how people move, how people behave, and they want to always exercise that control, i.e., the power play within that situation. Citizens don't like that. Most people need privacy. We all need privacy, to be honest with you. As an adult, we have the right to privacy. So citizens are taking power in their own hands by destroying these items. But it's a very tough situation because there's so many of them, and they're just located in public environments and private places that taking them all down manually isn't going to work. But the awareness is the beginning of the change. By having the awareness put out there, uh, the agencies that have the power to make changes are now beginning to make changes. But that's it for that, guys. Yeah, this is one of those topics I wanted to cover. I had a bit of a delay on it, but I wanted to make sure I cover this because, I noticed a lot of people making videos about it. It's because it's very serious. And if we can step up and whatever we can do to get exposure to this type of thing is definitely important to do that. Guys, that's it for that. If you like my commentary on this topic, if you like my review on this, leave it in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, share the video, hype the video, support as we're growing this channel to 10,000 subscribers. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next video.